we're going to talk about the novels of E.M. Forster today, we run against the question that students are always asking, and that is, why is he so against the mind or against the intellect?
We can write the period of a simple pendulum, t equals k times x to the n, where x is some parameter upon which the period may depend. In our case, x is the mass of the pendulum bob.
If this is too dark, when in value the thing will go back to jumping again.
Yeah.
Remembering we're on a white.
I think a lot of counselors realize right now that they wouldn't be doing that. I'm not supporting. Right. I mean, there just isn't that much.
What is college? What is a liberal arts education?
I would say that really what you're gaining is not so much technique or a body of knowledge, but it's rather a style of learning of a continued life that you will, carry away with you.
I think college has two obligations to its students. One of them is to help them choose what vocation they're going to enter. But I think not less important, a college ought to add a great deal to the dimension of a student's life, quite aside from his vocation. And I guess I would say that what it provides to add more happiness and depth to his living aside from his vocation may be just as important as what it may give him toward his vocation.
I think that college may well present the first opportunity some high school graduates have had to live their own lives. They have opportunities to make choices. Some of them will be wise, some of them not so wise. Hopefully, they will also learn to bear gracefully the consequences of some of their unwise decisions.
I almost think of it as a monastic existence. You can have all these years without any obligation of family, of job, or anything else, to follow through these ideas, to increase your sensitivities and perceptions of the world, of yourself, your sensitivities to art.
Ideally, I guess, I think that college ought to be a place where a student can question his background, question his country's background, question the way of life of his parents and the way of life of the people around him and throughout the world. I think that it just necessarily has to be a time of question of values.
The liberal arts college commits itself to the greatest possible development of the individual. Preparation for a career or profession is secondary. While all liberal arts colleges share some common goals, there are also some differences in personality, in philosophy, and in practice. In this brief view of Carleton, it may be worth noting the college's aims as they are stated in our bulletin. For one thing, Carleton seeks to be a community of persons who confront one another from different perspectives. A college within which questions of meaning and value are inseparable from the pursuit of understanding. Carleton places a particular emphasis on intellectual excellence, on moral sensitivity, and on commitment to goals which extend beyond self. Noble goals, high-sounding phrases, perhaps, yet no college need apologize for its high purpose. We know these goals are difficult to achieve, but our task is worth the effort. For the college student is learning a certain style of living, passing through critical years of self-realization, those last few years before he becomes either part of the world's problem or an evidence of its promise. Picture and sound can't capture the process of education, for it takes place in the mind and in the heart. But in this time together, we can observe the setting in which the process takes place, the campus.
Carleton College occupies almost 1,000 acres of campus and countryside in Northfield, Minnesota, a rural community 40 miles south of Minneapolis and St. Paul. By Midwestern standards, Carleton College is old. It's 100 years since the first class gathered in a frame building called American House. More than 94 years since Carleton's first permanent classroom was completed. The Goodsell Observatory dates from 1887. Olin Hall of Science from 1961. To the extent that buildings make a college, this is Carleton. Biology, physics, chemistry, geology, and history. Humanities, education. Classical and modern languages, literature. Painting, sculpture, fine arts, and graphics. Books and periodicals. Physical education and athletics. Religion and spiritual development. The resident halls of the students. An impressive collection of buildings, a beautiful campus. If a campus makes a college, this is Carleton. But Carleton is more than its buildings. A college is far more than facilities. The thousands of books in its library stacks are, in a sense, just so much paper. World maps don't interpret history. Blackboards don't speak. Microscopes can't teach biology. Yet in the hands of a learned and skillful faculty, the tools of education come alive. By any standards, Carleton has an outstanding faculty. Their credentials include distinguished records of academic achievements, honors from societies and colleges in their respective fields, years of experience in teaching in some of America's and Europe's finest colleges and universities. They're engaged in significant research. They've published hundreds of books and research papers in their specialized fields. But as any student quickly discovers, the qualities that make a good teacher go beyond academic honors and scholarly research. A good teacher dedicates himself to teaching. He seeks a college atmosphere conducive to a close student-faculty relationship. To foster this atmosphere, Carleton's enrollment is limited to less than 1,400 students. Faculty can know their students as individuals, discover their potentials, their problems, their personalities. Teachers have time for individual contact and discussion. The student can know his professor as a person. Subject matter can have greater depth and move in the direction of special student interest. Perhaps most important to attracting good faculty is the Carleton student, for the dedicated teacher loves a challenging student. And Carleton students are challenging young men and women. Some have past records of high academic achievement. Others show great potential. They represent every temperament, a wide range of family background and income. More than half of them receive some form of scholarship or financial assistance through the college. They are future scientists, artists, scholars, businessmen, statesmen, parents. This is the encounter the dedicated teacher seeks. The Carleton faculty is here because the Carleton student is here. But does the student know why he's here?
Oh, I'd narrowed it down to 5 or 6 schools which are very much like Carleton. And at the end of everything, I decided that Carleton had the best academic standards.
Actually, I came to Carleton because I wanted to go into engineering, but I find that I've completely changed my major, now majoring in government, whereas at MIT I would have had to transfer to another institution to do this.
Once I get into medicine, I'm going to have something besides just science. And Carleton's got the varied courses for me to take.
And so they search in every classroom and laboratory. They study the physical nature of the world we live in, its minerals, fossils, natural resources. They examine energy in its simplest forms. They measure and learn to control energy in complex, newly discovered forms. They poke and probe living matter, discover secrets of life in tissue and cell structure. They learn to use the modern tools of research. They study the past. What were people like 5,000 years ago, 500 years ago, 5 years ago? They examine the successes and failures of government, the laws and theories of economics. They learn to communicate in the language of other people. They study the relationships between individuals and groups in our society. And they look at themselves. Why do we behave as we do? What control do we exercise over our own lives? Does life have meaning and purpose? Can we agree with all or any of the great thinkers of the past?
History, chemistry, biology, psychology. Is the pursuit of knowledge then the true goal of a college education? Is a college degree really no more than a measure of retained information? Hardly. While knowledge is an essential ingredient, acquiring facts is no real problem for most Carleton students. Sooner or later, each student recognizes the need to make his own judgments, to come to know himself, to understand his world and his relation to that world.
The opportunities are everywhere.
Over half of what you get out of Carleton is the people you meet at Carleton.
It's a sort of an openness comes out in arguments about politics and religion and everything else that students talk about, and it's part of growing up.
You're forced, really, to come to terms with other people and with yourself. I mean, you can't get away from it.
There are probably some very rich people on this campus, and there's some very poor people on the campus, and you can't tell them apart. There seems to be a common denominator between people, which is interest in each other and what's going on here. And on any floor, if you introduce any topic, you can come up with a very intelligent discussion of that topic, and everyone gets interested in it.
I had hoped it was going to be unabashedly intellectual and turned out to be something different, but even more exciting, perhaps.
I don't know if I've learned more in bull sessions than I have in class, but I've learned different kinds of things.
You're faced with a competition, and you really find where you belong. And you find, too, that you can be good in something. You belong somewhere, and you'll make it.
And I think it's a little more relaxed at Carleton because we do live so closely together. I mean, we go to classes together, we eat together.
An extensive sports program is available to both men and women for pleasure, recreation, physical fitness. Winter, a refreshing change of scenery, climate, and recreation. students run a ticket service for a wide range of events in the Twin Cities and on the campus. A dozen bulletin boards are crowded with notices of clubs, social, and cultural opportunities. Weekly convocations expose students to a broad spectrum of political, scientific, and philosophic thought. And more formal events bring to the campus distinguished scholars, authors, scientists, and statesmen. Art exhibitions offer insights into contemporary and traditional expression of great artists. Student art offers opportunity for expressions ranging from beauty, love, and faith to social criticism, frustration, or open rebellion. The Carletonian offers students the opportunity to try their hand at reporting the news, expressing opinion for or against a cause. Algol. The student produced visual interpretation of the year's activities. Manuscript. The campus literary magazine offering student and faculty a platform for essays, short stories, poetry, art, and photography. Student government provides a forum for campus leadership. Students take positions and engage in active debate, controversy, and protest. The music of the campus is found in classroom and concert hall, choirs, orchestra, pep band, pop music groups, and various ensembles. Religious worship, too, is a form of expression. All denominational groups have facilities available for their own private worship. The Carleton Theater emphasizes the relationship between actor and audience as they interpret and express classic and contemporary drama. It's seldom evident when or where a student is gaining the most from this college education. Perhaps it's from his fellow students.
Carleton seeks to be a community of persons who confront one another from different perspectives.
Or it may be from his professors.
A college within which questions of meaning and value are inseparable from the pursuit of understanding.
But probably the most significant contribution ultimately comes from within the student himself.
Carleton places a particular emphasis on intellectual excellence, on moral sensitivity, and on commitment to goals which extend beyond self.